The Hobgoblins are here to kick and to fight. Lucky it's halfway to Halloween night. In this corner, rubber meets the road with a holiday CHiPS. And in the opposing corner, flesh meets rubber with the ultimate Goosebumps. We start prepping early on Put Up Your Spoons.
This is We Bleed Orange and Black, the podcast for Halloween and horror lovers. Join us as we interview creators, discuss our favorite horror, and share original spooky stories. I'm Jeff, and I'm repping the 80s.
I'm Ryan, and I'm repping the 90s. It's extreme, you see.
Yeah.
This week's theme...
Halfway to Halloween, 2025.
Oh, yeah.
We did it. We made it to the halfway point.
This was a close call.
The other day, you're like, I'm starting to get excited for Halloween. I was like, me too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just in the blood. One of those larvae that incubates inside your body, and it's a Halloween larvae. But you understand what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And eats up all your summer fluids when it's halfway to Halloween.
Gosh, summer fluids. First of all, it's the springtime. So, hands off my summer fluids.
Spring fluids. All your sap. It eats up all your sap and replaces it with corn syrup.
So I have a very special treat this year for our Halfway to Halloween special. A little show called CHiPS. CHiPS was an action crime drama about the California Highway Patrol. Its two leads were Frank Poncherella, a.k.a. Ponch, played by Eric Estrada, and his partner John. It ran for 6 seasons, with 130 episodes airing from 1977 to 1983. This episode aired in 1979. It begins with Ponch and John riding down the street.
This is one day in the year I don't mind working an overlap shift.
Yeah, I know. You dig Halloween.
I love it. Ghosts, hobgoblins, things that go bump in the night.
This is Venice Boulevard, a street Ryan and I know well. Normally, shows and movies shot around LA, especially Halloween stories, are like catnip to me. But this skipped over catnip and went straight to heroin. I want to just inject this right into my veins. Ryan, hit us with the theme. It's the morning of Halloween, and they're already engaged in a car chase. A van is weaving down Venice Boulevard like a maniac, squealing tires and catching air. They pursue it to a studio lot in Culver City, and it blasts through a painted backdrop. The van stops, and 13 black cats jump out and cross Ponch's path. Did you recognize that studio?
Was it Sony Studios? Or was it the Culver Studios?
It was Laird International Studios, which later became
The Culver Studios.
When they get to the station, Ponch walks under a ladder, cuts himself shaving, and breaks a mirror. This becomes one of the running gags for the episode. Ponch and bad omens. Luckily, he's not superstitious. Womp womp. Officer Grossi, who, in my mind, was named Jurassic.
Yeah, me too. I was like, hey, what?
Brings in a jack-o'-lantern. He is the station's Halloween trickster. At the morning briefing, the captain explains that they won't be patrolling the highway. Instead, they're going to make sure that the kids on the surface streets are having a safe night, or a safe day in this case. He also sets up another runner for the episode. Every year, a prankster gets on their radio and taunts them with rhymes. They are the Hobgoblin. Grossi, obviously, is the Hobgoblin.
This episode, obsessed with hobgoblins. I wish I had a hobgoblin to drink in honor of this episode.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
We have a joker in our midst. On Halloween, he or she thinks it's funny to broadcast certain original material. Now, I don't happen to care for my very own hobgoblin, so this year I plan to do something about it, which is my way of telling the hobgoblin to think twice before he or she takes the air.
Meanwhile, our A-plot begins. A woman is putting the finishing touches on her Halloween costume. She does her face up in full corpse paint, and she dons a long, flowing white robe. Her husband's arm is in a cast, but this is no costume. He's been roughed up by loan sharks. This was approximately 60% of all 70s and 80s TV shows. Someone was in deep to a loan shark and was going to get an arm or leg broken or had an arm or leg broken. They have a plan to make some money on Halloween night. Back at the station, officers John and Ponch roll out. A group of trick-or-treaters in amazing Ben Cooper costumes passes them in a crosswalk. These kids are on their grind because it is barely 9 a.m. As an example of just how much simpler things were back then, a little boy, Tommy, points a squirt gun at Ponch and says, "Trick or treat."
I was waiting for Ponch to go aggro on that kid and blast him in the face.
Trick or treat, officer.
You got me, son.
Well, what's it gonna be, trick or treat?
You're about 3 blocks too early. See me later, okay?
No treat? Then it's gotta be a trick.
Now, that wasn't very nice, son.
Ponch acts mad and wonders aloud if they should slap the cuffs on the kid, but Tommy's sister pulls him away. The B plot is now underway. Ponch goes to the store to stock up on Halloween candy when he's approached by an angry father with Tommy's sister in tow.
You're the one who threatened to put my son in jail?
Oh, the kid who squirted me with perfume.
Yeah, my son, Tommy Stone, he's run away.
He said he didn't want to wear handcuffs or go to jail.
Hey, look, I'm sorry, but I was just joking with him.
The very idea, telling a little kid that you're gonna put handcuffs on him? What's the matter with you two anyway?
Look, on Halloween, there's a lot of kids your son's age that should be escorted by an adult. Now, if you would have been there, this might not have happened. And it was a joke.
Yeah, well, it may have been a joke to you two, but not to my son. Now, he's run away, and you're the cause of it.
The patrolmen start canvassing the area. They stop a bunch of kids and ask them if they've seen Tommy, and then chastise them for not having an adult chaperone. One child at the back of the group, in a suave three-piece suit, takes off their werewolf mask to reveal an awesome mustache. He is their chaperone.
It was so weird.
It was so... And they did an amazing job because it was like, oh, it's another group of kids in Ben Cooper costumes. Holy shit, look at that werewolf in the back in the three-piece suit. Like, that is an incredible look. And then he rips off the werewolf mask to reveal this awesome Rhett Butler mustache. It's fantastic. Next, they catch two women in the act of stealing a street sign for a scavenger hunt. The blonde looks baked to the gills. It was the 70s. Finally, night falls. John and Ponch pull up to an old spooky house. It's too spooky, so they leave. Back to the A plot. The ghost lady robs a liquor store and then runs down the street, arms up the entire way, putting up her spooks. The only problem is, now that she's got the money, she's addicted to the spooks. And she tells her husband they gotta knock over another liquor store. B plot. John and Ponch head back to the spooky house to search for Tommy. After a long, tense search, they find him. And now that I think of it, Tommy looks like he's baked to the gills too. Brief C plot. An old woman is driving around town, snatching children's candy bags.
What are you doing? Well, this woman pulled up in her car, jumped out, grabbed a bag of candy from one of the kids, and tore off.
Who lost that candy?
I did. She stole it from me.
Come here, skeleton. Dig in there and grab a couple of handfuls. It's candy. Good stuff.
All right.
John and Ponch finally catch her in the act and make chase. She speeds home and runs inside. This is a moment of actual horror where they peek in from her front yard through her window and they see that her entire house is crowded with stolen bags and she's frantically dumped candy all over the floor. And I was like, this is horrifying. Like, she really looks insane.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what's going on. I thought that the motivation to why this old woman is driving around like a maniac stealing bags of candy would be something like she accidentally gave out some of her medication to trick-or-treaters. And she didn't want anyone to get poisoned by accident. But it turns out that she's lost her brand new engagement ring. They find it in her pumpkin bucket. C-plot done. Oh no, it's been 45 seconds without a motorcycle chase. John and Ponch catch sight of the ghost lady. She and her husband make a break for it and run an intersection, causing two cars to spin out. They drive by two hooligans throwing eggs at each other. Eggs splatter their windshield, and the van crashes to a halt. It is a miracle that no kids were hit, but I guess that's why it's good to start trick-or-treating at 9 a.m. John and Ponch arrest the ghost lady and her husband, who now has 2 broken arms. The ghost lady says,
"If it hadn't been for those dumb kids, we'd have still been honking."
Yeah, lady. Happy Halloween.
With their shift over, our heroes can now go to that Halloween party the Stone scavenger hunt chicks invited them to. Surprise, the entire California Highway Patrol is there. Apparently the scavenger hunt was to collect cops, whatever gets the cast together, I suppose. Oh, and the captain has figured out that Grossi was the Hobgoblin all along. They end with a triple freeze frame. Magnificent.
I thought it was hilarious that they were like, hey, you're stealing a street sign. And then the ladies were like, but can you really blame us? And they're like, ah, shucks, go on. And then they're like, bitch, you've been stealing kids' candy and freaking people out. And she's like, well, can you blame me? And they're like, shucks, never mind about it.
2 things. 1, the captain did say, I'd rather you make sure the trick-or-treaters get home safely than writing a bunch of citations. Secondly, if you are a motorcycle cop, you cannot arrest and bring in everyone you
That's
see.
true. Perfect episode.
That's Halloween, baby. And there are 2 other CHiPS episodes that are Halloween worthy. Both of them feature Elvira.
Yeah, we used to have decent TV shows that did Halloween specials every year.
We're going to bring it back. If you're going to do Haunted Mass Part 2, I think I'm going to do another CHiPS.
Yeah, I know, you dig Halloween.
I love it.
My ghoulish episode, the most famousest of all, Goosebumps, The Haunted Mask. I guess this was the first episode of the series. Introduced by R.L. Stine, they wisely chose to stop doing that right quick.
Viewers beware, you're in for a scare.
He's no crypt keeper.
No. He's like, hello, boys and girls. This is a spooky episode for you.
The fact that he was bumped from his own show by a golden retriever with glowing eyes, scandalous.
Carly Beth and Sabrina are out getting their pumpkins super late in the season. They pass by a sweet-ass mask shop and admire the masks in the window. And like a creepy-ass Boyle man stares at them as they leave. It's nighttime. Sabrina gives Carly Beth a little bit of a scare.
Sorry, didn't mean to scare you.
Because Carly Beth is total wimpus. She's like the most easy to scare person ever created by God. They're in the pumpkin patch, and Carly Beth's like, these are all rotten, terrible pumpkins. And then some crazy pumpkin monsters jump out, and they're like, woo. And then she's, of course, terrified, but it's just Chuck and Steve, the local bullies, and they're scaring her. And I guess these must be the costumes that they later wore, unless they just made more pumpkin costumes. Because they're very similar.
I know it's bad to like pick on people and torture people, but if
they put in the work,
they put in the work. They put on pumpkin head helmets and buried themselves under the brush of this pumpkin patch and then burst out of the ground. That is like, it became a trend in recent years of people do these super elaborate things to ask each other to homecoming. I feel like this blows that out of the water.
Yeah.
Like no one has ever put that much time and planning into something for me just to scare me on Halloween. Like, oh my God. I was in love.
And they had to know she was going there, which means Sabrina is probably a traitor.
Sabrina could be a Confederate, or they've just been in there for like a
waiting
week.
all month long. So she has so they run away, and then Carly Beth has like a tearful dust up with Sabrina where she's like, they always pick on me and only me, never anyone else. They put a dead octopus on me last year and it was horrible. And I was like, dead octopus? Jesus Christ. Carly Beth goes home and her mom is like, hey Carly Beth, check it out. I made this super creepy fucking sculpture of your exact face out of paper mache. And like smartly, Carly Beth is like,
it's kind of creepy, Mom.
What, don't you like it?
Oh, I like it. It's really great. It's just, I mean, why do you want something that looks like me?
I made something that looks like you, silly, because I love you.
Take note, because this will come into play later. And then Carly Beth freaks out, and she's like, Jesus Christ, it looked at me. The eyes opened, and it looked at me, and it opened its mouth and smiled at me. And the mom's like, what the hell? And she's like, it's a trick of the light. Never mind. And then her mom's like, by the way, I made you a duck costume. Remember one time you mentioned you might think a duck costume was cool? Well, I fucking made it for you, so that's what you're going to be for Halloween. It's on your bed. And she's like, oh, God, okay. This is Mom, I tell you what. So they walk away, and sure enough, the head sculpture smiles. And it's not a trick of the light, and it is not in anyone's imagination because everyone's out of the room.
Straight to camera. So we've already got some magical realism. I suspect it's because the veil is thin, and also a mother's love.
Mother's love.
First, the mother created Carly Beth, so it was easy for the mother to give some of that life to the Carly Beth mask.
Part of a child. Unconditional love.
You are positioning the mom as being, like, terrible for making her daughter a custom duck outfit because she listened to her daughter's wishes.
She was foisting her weird art on her daughter at every turn.
She handmade a Halloween costume, which we all know is the highest form of love outside of laying in a fallow pumpkin patch and jumping out to scare someone.
You know, she should have had to put the full duck costume on in order to get the mask off.
Oh, yeah, but then you know she would have grown a beak and a haunted cloaca.
Yeah, it might have just absorbed it, because the duck costume wasn't a true symbol of love. So she goes up to her room, the door is closed, and she hears some quacking coming from beyond the door.
Ominous quacking.
Ominous quacking coming from inside the door, and door bursts open, and her little brother jumps out and spooks her, wearing her duck suit. Hard cut to black sandwich being delightedly eaten by some random girl. They're in the outdoor cafeteria at school. Carly, Beth, and Sabrina are eating their lunch. Chuck and Steve spook her with an electronic jack-o'-lantern, and while she's not paying attention, they put worms in her sandwich, and she chomps that fucking sandwich like 3 or 4 times. Big, wet chomps. It's pretty gross. She finally finds the worm after taking several bites of it, and then everyone in the cafeteria laughs at her and points at her.
This was harrowing. Chuck and Steve gave her the old spookin' switch, which you gotta respect. But the fact that Carly Beth made 3 worms, because those worms are going to regenerate, and I think that's fantastic. In her many-chambered duck stomach.
The worm in the sandwich is a bit too far, guys. I mean, I appreciate your pumpkin costumes, but... And then she must have been, like, anger eating, because she was like, chomp, chomp, chomp. And I was like, no.
It was nervous eating.
Yeah, 1 chomp was enough, Carly Beth. So she runs away in shame. She, in a fury, destroys her duck costume when she gets back home, tears it to shreds.
Which Ryan was cheering her on.
Yeah, fight the power. She flees to the mask store, gathering up all her savings on the way. The Boyle man spooks her good. He's like, we're closed. And she's like, but I just need a mask. And he's like, okay, everything's on the wall. You have 5 minutes. And then he goes to take a phone call. And I don't know if you listened to this guy's phone call, but it was nuts also. He's like, I need that chemical. And I don't know if it had anything to do with maybe his just general mask making process.
He had a meth lab in the back.
I shouldn't be dealing with chemicals, Boyle man. Look what it's doing to you. She finds a back room with all the scariest masks you've ever seen. Boyle man comes in and he's like, no, you cannot have these masks. These are not masks. They are evil. She's like, no, I need these masks for vengeance. And he's like, vengeance, you say? But then he's like, no. They're too scary, too frightening. He's like, look at you. Who are you? She's like, I'm Carly Beth. And he's like, I'm talking about your face, Carly Beth. You got a nice face. And she's like, psych! And she steals one of the masks and throws money in his face. And he goes, whoa! But then he doesn't chase her. She just runs out of the store. And then he just lets her go. I guess it's just too late. Oh, she grabs the mask off the stand, and it also opens its eyes and like smirks. And he just flips the close sign on the door and like lets her go. And I guess she has to learn her lesson. So she goes home, wears the mask. It's super scary. She scares her little brother, has trouble taking the mask off, rushes out trick-or-treating, avoids her mom, who's just thrilled to see her duck costume. She steals the creepy Carly Beth sculpture, puts it on a spike, puts some blood underneath.
A red
fabric, and then runs around town just delighting in scaring randos. She scares 2 small kids that she thinks are Chuck and Steve, and then they're like, let's get out of here. She's crazy, and then she goes,
yeah, I'm crazy, Loretta, I'm crazy!
Obviously, Haunted Mask is one of the most famous Goosebumps books, Goosebumps book covers, Goosebumps episodes. This mask was awesome.
Yeah, super cool mask. Just sold at auction for like $150,000.
At this point, Carly Beth is lost in the sauce. She's going goblin mode.
She's mad with power.
Hard. I loved it.
Yeah. So I don't know how you felt about the episode in general, but like kind of a banger, this one.
Step to stern. This might be like the peak of Goosebumps. Season 1, episode 1.
So she meets up with Sabrina, and she's like, ugh, it feels like real skin. It feels warm. She hates the mask. And she's like, take it off. And then Carly Beth fucking flips out. She just starts going, and then it cuts to black. But to be continued. And it's a commercial break fake. Comes back part 2. She's flipping out, but then she's like, psych, I'm not flipping out. Fooled you. I love scaring people. They go trick-or-treating. She yells at some lady's kids. She's snippy to the mom. Tells her, yeah, call the cops on me, bitch. I don't give a fuck about you.
She steals the candy and then shotguns it back at the house. It's so berserk. And on one hand, it's slightly sacrilegious to be that obnoxious and to waste candy on Halloween. However, she's leaned so hard into the trick side, which we've really gotten away from as a culture, I feel.
Sure. Sabrina is like, who are you? It's like I don't even know you. And Carly Beth goes, the mask made me do it. And then she just runs away. And she's like fucking up Halloween decorations, tricking it out, putting up her spooks. Cut to Chuck and Steve in a graveyard singing fake pirate songs. I guess they couldn't sing about rum, so they have to sing
16 men on a dead man's chest. Yo ho ho, and away we go.
Which, not a bad lyric,
Yeah.
but I was waiting for the rum, and then they kind of
No,
PG-rated
sorry,
it.
Fox Kids. Carly Beth finds them, spooks the fuck out of them, makes them pee their pants, makes them apologize.
They get down on their knees.
They're so scared, and they know it's Carly Beth.
Apologize to her. Tell Carly Beth you're sorry.
Apologize? For what?
For what?
The Carly Beth sculpture head starts talking, and it goes, help me, and then they're like, what? And they run away terrified, still peeing their pants. Crazy monster Carly Beth buries the sculptured head in a shallow grave in the graveyard, and then cartwheels away, screaming and chuckling to herself.
I love goblin version of Carly Beth. I need a show with just her.
Much better than regular version. Sabrina finds her again. They go home to count up their loot, although Carly Beth doesn't have any. Carly Beth cannot get the mask off this time, and Sabrina is like, there's no line, there's no neck, it's just a part of you. And Carly Beth looks in the mirror and is like, the eyes, they're not my eyes.
When Sabrina is trying to pull the mask off, Carly Beth is in pain.
She's like, ow, ow.
And I gotta say, we've pointed out the difference between Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark in the past, but it was on full display here in this episode of Goosebumps. They go so hard on this show, where kids feel like legitimate terror. Danger, pain, madness, chaos.
Yeah, agreed. She runs out of there, runs to the mask store. The mask man, Boyle man, is like, I cannot take it off. Nothing can take it off. It's not a mask. It's a face. He has this very long speech about how the masks are actually faces and actually his faces because he made them to hide from people, but they became corrupt by the corruption within him and deteriorated and decayed until he had to take them off, put them on display, and make another one. And he's like, I dare not show you the horror that lies beneath my current mask. How do I? And then he's like, no. And I was like, oh, come on, man.
You've got a little bit of Dr. Vinks.
Take it off. Take it off. And then he's like, maybe there is a chance. Only you can take the mask off with a symbol of love. He's like, these masks, no one ever loved them. No one ever cared for them. And she's like, I hate them. And then all the masks wake up and float off their stands. And they chase her into the graveyard, sighing, join us, Carly Beth. Join us. Love us. And she's like, no, never again. She digs up the Carly Beth head sculpture, and then its love force allows her to finally remove the haunted mask. And she does not throw it in the shallow grave. She takes it home where she hugs her mom tight and all is right with the world.
I mean, in her defense, she paid 30 bones for that mask.
She threw 30 bones to
That was
the
a
wind.
lot of money back then.
But all is not right with the world because the little bro has tried on the haunted mask. The end.
Wow, what a barn burner of an episode.
A good halfway to Halloween Energizer.
So, R.L. Stein, the host, was amazing.
Now that wasn't too scary, was it? Have a scary day, everyone.
And I want to jump into ratings because the first rating is Time to Kryptonite. And in the intro, R.L. Stein is like, Carly Beth can only be saved when she learns the value of true love. I was like, Time to Kryptonite, 5 seconds.
Spoiler,
Damn.
R.L. Stein.
Jeez.
Don't you know nothing about books and stories? You don't flip to the last page.
Body count for CHiPS, Trick or Trick. That's a 0 for Haunted Mask.
0.
Scare factor for CHiPS. There was some weird things happening, but nothing scary. Scare factor for Haunted Mask.
I found it very scary.
Even the scenes where Carly Beth was in the shop at night with the shop owner, and he like locked the door behind him and was like grabbing her by the shoulders and turning her around. It was really intense to have like a little girl being sort of manhandled by like a big creep.
Yeah.
Let alone when the masks started flying around and putting up their spooks. Scare factor high. Gross factor for CHiPS.
Gross negligence. I'm sure I've used that joke before.
I'll give it a 0. Gross factor for Haunted Mask.
Pretty gross. She's chomping worms. There's a boil man.
Biting into the worms was probably the high watermark there. What the factor for CHiPS? It did have a slightly loosey-goosey, surreal quality to it, but it was also drenched in California sunshine and funky rhythm guitar. It didn't put me off. I just kind of along for the ride, except for the fact that when they went to the party at the end of the night to go arrest the women that they had caught stealing the sign for the scavenger hunt, and then everyone else from the California Highway Patrol was at the party, and inside this house there was like a full bar with bartender and a pinball machine, like totally crazy, swank as hell, and all their co-workers were there because it was a scavenger party. That was what the factor. What the factor for Haunted Mask?
I think it was actually not that high. I mean, it fulfilled the promise of the premise, except maybe that the masks were the dude's faces that he somehow brought to life with his own inner shame.
I think they explained it about as well as they could without totally demystifying it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, when they first introduce him, he does have a couple boils on his face. And as the episode progresses, so do the boils. And we find out that this inner hatred, you know, the parts about himself that he doesn't like is sort of festering. And it just added to the creepiness.
Sure did. Spooky.
Vink factor. I feel like the guy in your episode was at least moving the needle on the Vink factor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they must be second cousins at least.
And for CHiPS, there was a car crash where the car flipped and like a drunk guy got out.
He lost both of his hands.
Beautiful hands. He had like a whiff of the Vink about him.
Oh, boy. Did you see it? The most beautiful thing I ever saw. A pink elephant in a white nightie.
Theme of Halfway to Halloween. I had an hour of pure Halloween goodness. Some of it was during the daytime, but those costumes, the decorations, the trick-or-treating, the hobgoblin. There was a lot to recommend it. There was a haunted house that they went into. So I'm going to give it decent marks for Halloweeniness. How do you think Haunted Mask fared?
I think decent marks for Halloweeniness.
Some really nice Halloween street trick-or-treating scenes. And we got to see the kids trick-or-treating, not just walking to and fro with bags of candy.
And the bullies were sorting their candy in a graveyard.
That was so funny that Chuck was like, no, we're sorting our candy on a gravestone.
It gives it extra flavor.
And there was bully on bully crime because he even put up his spooks for
He
Steve.
spooked the other bully, and then he bullied the other bully.
I think I'm going to give that one to Goosebumps, Episode 1, Haunted Mask. All right, well, it's pretty obvious. One look at the scoreboard will show you that Goosebumps, Haunted Mask, is the winner of our Halfway to Halloween 2025 episode.
I think they liked it.
Did you ever have one of those Ben Cooper-style costumes?
Sure. I had a He-Man one, and I would put it on all the time to entertain the kids. That my mom was running a daycare one year, so I would just put it on and, like, go hang out with the little kids. And when I put it on, I kind of believed that they believed that I was actually He-Man. I must have been 6 or 7 at this point.
So what was the breakdown of mask to vest or torso?
It was your very typical plastic face mask, plastic, like, half face mask.
Well, just the front half.
Just the front half, and the vinyl He-Man body, the fuzzy underpants and stuff.
That is probably the most basic form of costume, where the mask looks like a face and the torso looks like a torso. We often make fun of the Ben Cooper style because it'll have a mask of the character like Casper or something, and then on the vinyl shirt it'll be a picture of Casper and it will say Casper. That's sort of like the most cliche Ben Cooper style. But I was looking up some of the costumes and they had all these weird variations. They hadn't cracked the He-Man costume yet, where the torso's a torso and the head is a head. There was a line called Swell Heads, and there's this awesome Dracula costume where it's a Dracula mask and the entire vinyl shirt is Dracula's face. So I don't know what's going on there. And then they also had a line of ponchos, and the Dracula poncho had Dracula's upper body on it. So it was a little kid's legs, Dracula's upper body, and then poking out of the poncho was the kid's head. Like, it was such a weird, mismatched thing. I don't know what was going on at Ben Cooper other than lots of drugs, but I'm here for it. Big fan.
Lots of vinyl fumes.
Is there a Ben Cooper style costume that you wish existed? There was a 70s era villain from the original Ghost Rider comic called the Orb. He had like a red motorcycle jumpsuit and a giant eyeball helmet, and I think that would be really well suited to the Ben Cooper style.
Also Snorks.
Was there a Snorks?
Oh, there is a Snorks one. Must be a different company. Wow. Okay, I was wrong. It doesn't work. Maybe the mask is just squeezing to the kid's face, but it's like oblong instead of round.
Oh,
it
yikes.
looks like a lemon.
It does look like a lemon with like a straw in it, but I mean that is a Snork basically.
Yeah. Oh, this trip down Halloween memory lane is really stirring something deep in
your summer juices.
My spring juices are turning orange.
Oh God. See you, doctor.